Good afternoon and welcome to the Los Angeles Times Business to Business Publishing's inaugural event. I'm Anna Magzanian, Chief of Staff to Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong and Head of Strategy and Revenue for the Los Angeles Times. I am pleased to welcome you as we celebrate the accomplishments of LA's leaders in the legal community. Today, we will acknowledge a significant role that General Counsel plays in the success of a business. We are pleased to recognize your hard work, especially as we consider this past year of unprecedented challenges related to COVID-19 pandemic. Business leaders rely on your knowledge, expertise, and counsel as they continue to navigate these trying times. I want to take a moment to recognize our sponsors. This awards program would not be possible without their generous support, starting with our platinum sponsor, Miller Kaplan, our gold sponsor, Blank Rome, and finally, our bronze sponsor, Latham Watkins. Thanks to each organization for your support and at our launch event. Before we dive into our panel discussion, I'd like to take a moment to welcome all of our outstanding finalists who are joining us virtually. Moving to our panel, I am pleased to welcome our moderator, Jordan Wappler, Vice President at K1 Investment Management. He is responsible for legal due diligence, structure, negotiation, and execution of growth and capital buyout investments, including Rethink First, where he serves as a board director. Jordan received his JD from Stanford Law School and his BA from Stanford as well. Jordan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Anna. It's a pleasure to be here today to honor in-house legal counsel professionals for their contributions and leadership within their organizations, the legal field, and the community at large. I'd like to begin by welcoming our other panelists. First is Nicholas Sanchez, a partner at Miller Kaplan. Nicholas is a trusted expert in all aspects of qualified settlement funds, including the characterization of distributions, tax on attorney fee awards, and info reporting and withholding compliance. His practice also includes extensive tax controversy services, and he seeks letter rulings on behalf of his clients, which include administration and law firms, litigants, administrative agencies, and among those are the U.S. SEC Commission on Sarbanes-Oxley Fair Funds. I'd also like to welcome Alan Lane Lindicke, General Counsel of the Change Company. He's a tenured GC with a demonstrated history of working in the banking industry, and he's skilled in ops management, legal compliance, sales management, and customer service. His degrees include a JD from Washburn University School of Law and a Master's of Tax LLM from the University of San Diego School of Law. And he also holds a Certified Regulatory Compliance Manager designation from the American Bankers Association. Let's get started, everybody. All right, Alan, let's kick off with your first question. Coming off of the last year of the global pandemic, heading into perhaps the second year, what are the newest post-pandemic challenges for in-house counsels, and what are the best practices to overcome them?
Well, thank you, Jordan. When probably the only good thing that happened with COVID was we got a chance to test our disaster recovery system, where we had to scramble to get all of our employees working remote. Now that we're kind of past the pandemic, or at least we think we are trying to find ways to bring employees back to work. So the newest post-pandemic challenge for in-house counsel has been establishing a fair and efficient way to determine who is going to be able to work from home. You know, there's great potential for improved efficiencies through elimination of wasted time with commuting and time spent getting ready for work, which when managed correctly can result in enhanced work productivity and more time availability for employees to spend with their families and friends. However, not all employees possess the mature wisdom to stay on task when faced with lack of direct supervision. Furthermore, despite technical advances in online meetings, employees who work remote are deprived from the day-to-day face-to-face social interaction, which is an essential component in fostering a strong, synergetic, and collaborative work environment. While balancing Equal Opportunity Act, Americans with Disabilities Act, and various other laws and state mandates, it's equally important to remember general principles of equity and fairness. Those who are succeeding while enjoying the benefits of working remotely should be afforded such consideration.
Thanks, Alan. And, I'm sure many other issues to come from that as we evolve and return to the office and, are dealing with, changing guidance really even week by week here in Los Angeles. And, we were just talking at K1 the other day about how we went from being in office every day for years at a time, and then an email last March 9th, and we shifted to fully remote for the last year and a half. So A lot to figure out, but I expect GCs will remain front and center in those questions. And, just talking about how, GCs work with outside counsel, I personally have found that you really need to exhibit a bit more empathy than I traditionally would, just knowing that they're going through all the same challenges of working hybrid or, really kind of working around the clock. I think it's not, an unknown thing that, a lot of law firms are under strain and a lot of people are leaving the profession. So I think core of that is really working more efficiently with your counsel. So, for me, that means the client isn't always right. If I'm going down the wrong path, just tell me, push back or interrupt if we're, having a bad idea or a half-baked idea, but also my outside counsel knows the process that we go with or knows the way that someone else approaches it, just to go in and interject and get us moving at the right speed rather than going through the motions there. And I think one thing that's really stood out in the past year is when, outside counsel has a deep bench and a diverse set of folks that can work in your matters, because that's how you're going to not ultimately have your main relationship burn out and how you're going to build a strong and durable relationship going forward. So, that's really, I think, something that I wouldn't have known a couple of years ago. I wouldn't have thought longer term, but I think I'll be handling things differently coming out of the pandemic. And, also speaking of looking forward, Nicholas, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what the top legal issues might be in 2022, as we approach kind of the middle of Q3 right now.
Sure. Thanks, Jordan. Everyone's favorite issue, right? Taxes. Tax laws and policy are perpetually in a state of flux, but it's been obviously very dramatic lately, which I think is only going to continue into 2022. The Treasury barely finished completing its guidance with respect to the sweeping changes under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. We saw numerous pandemic-related relief provisions implemented under the CARES Act and its progeny. And now we have proposals under President Biden's American Jobs Plan, their Made in America tax plan, the American Families Plan, that would see domestic and global tax reform, an infrastructure spending plan that will see anywhere from, we're seeing maybe $40 to $80 billion annually towards improved tax enforcement, along with other numerous tweaks that will keep businesses, their in-house counsel and their compliance teams, and their outside advisors very busy for the foreseeable future. The proposed fiscal year 2022 budget that was just proposed would increase federal spending by over $4 trillion over the next decade, and including $1.7 trillion for infrastructure that will likely be funded, will absolutely be funded in part with changes to the tax code. So I think it's going to be a big issue for 2022 and beyond.
Sounds like you'll stay busy through 2022 on that, Nicholas. Alan, anything you would add from your perspective for forecasting into 2022?
Yeah, Jordan. So for those of us that are in highly regulated industries with COVID and the whole work from home, regulators typically haven't come out to do examinations. So I would anticipate going into 2022, we are going to see a big, huge rise in the amount of regulatory visits that we get, where they come back out to investigate and make sure that everything is on the up and up.
Mm-hmm. And are those usually previewed, or those may be unannounced? Is it sort of like
most of the time you get about 30 days notice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. As we get back to visits, whenever you had just a lot of these offices shut for a year and a half, and kind of overlapping with that transition. So definitely an area to watch. And one area that I would personally call out, we work with probably about 40 different portfolio companies around the U.S. and a few of them overseas, is really just sort of balancing employee privacy around, medical and personal data and mental health, and a lot of challenges that people have faced, like how to be supported without being intrusive, how to, offer help when people need it if they're asking for it, versus sort of being, more interspersing yourself into those questions. So that's one where, these are businesses with 100, 500 employees. I can't imagine what some of our, large public company category finalists are dealing with, and kind of working to keep everyone healthy and productive and engaged during this time. And I think, Nicholas, on the deal making front, we're certainly seeing a lot of technology businesses saying, with these valuations and, sort of the shadow of the future on taxes, is this as good as it gets? And, is there going to be a rush to the exits in Q3 and Q4? So, certainly something that will, I think, ramp up over the next couple of weeks and months. Just to switch gears a bit here, I'd love to get each of your take on the social justice movement and how in-house counsels have responded and managed resulting issues. Alan, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, excellent question. So educating C-suite executives has always been and guiding them towards responsible decisions making should always be of paramount importance to in-house counsel. It's really easy when doing good for the company equals also doing good for society. It becomes a little more challenging when doing good for society is going to cost the company money. And, now that we have the new social justice movements are becoming more paramount in our society, the regulate or the risk of reputational risk and, really has to be factored in there more than ever before. Also controlling executives from getting out and making statements in the public, we've all seen the implications of executives making political statements, regardless of what party you believe in, and under California law, we really can't prohibit them from doing so, but, you can kind of guide them in the right direction and hopefully they heed your wisdom.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for that, Alan. And Nicholas, I'd imagine, different perspective, from the outside counsel side. I don't know if those issues cross your desk, working more on tax policy. So just, curious more so on a different front, what are some of these, new legislative policies that are going to affect organizations in the coming year? And, what should, the folks on this call be aware of?
Sure. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, as we're seeing negotiations unfold, I think it's clear there's going to be a number of changes. But if I had to focus impacts to businesses, it would be in the area of corporate taxation. Earlier this month, the Treasury announced that 130 countries and counting have agreed to a global corporate minimum tax. And if implemented, that would have a big impact on taxes and tax planning for multinational corporations and others. At home, President Biden's American Jobs Plan would raise the corporate minimum tax to 28% from the current 21%, would repeal certain so-called loopholes, and would even impose a 15% tax on book earnings for some businesses. So these changes will likely have a domino effect, right? As other organizations look to plan for these changes, and even where they can, to explore other types of entities and structures. So tax planning, more so than ever, I think is going to be in our immediate future.
So fair to say that it's a time to be, more innovative or evolving, but not necessarily risk-taking on the tax front, but, seems like the change is accelerating.
Yeah, the change is accelerating, and it's a challenge for everyone to, keep on top of the volume of change and the number of proposals that are out there, especially as we're seeing Congress negotiate right now to keep track and to have multiple paths forward right now. So it is the theme is stay on your toes.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point. That it's probably more important than ever for in-house counsel to be innovative and to think about how to not be viewed as a cost center, rather a value add throughout the business. And kind of there's always a danger of being out on an island or kind of having those walls go up and being siloed in, and even more difficult whenever folks aren't in the office at all, and you're operating pretty remotely and async and around the clock. So I think one thing that's been really important and in my personal practice has been reviewing your existing processes, and if something is not needed or is excessive, to cut it back, because there's kind of always more to do all the time, and whether you're doing it manually or you're doing it tech enabled, it's still something else to worry about. And one thing that we would like to say is sort of feedback is a gift. So to the extent that you're getting kind of feedback from other business units, they're experiencing the strain and challenges of navigating COVID or navigating change, and looking to you for help to try to turn that towards a virtuous loop, kind of rather than being the one that they're, placing, pointing a finger at or saying that, we're the reason that, there's more regulation, because like we're not writing the regs, right? Like the legislators are, and that's coming from, folks getting elected, and kind of just the ultimate need of these different, state, local, whatever governments to do so. So I think that if that's something where, you can limit those processes or work with outside counsel like yourself, Nicholas, to make them as streamlined as possible, that's going to actually, turn you into someone that they're happy to see whenever you're coming down the hallway and, kind of trying to sync with another functional group on that. And the thing that's been, I think, really stood out to me during this time is the importance of staying in touch with, your peers and other kind of similarly situated businesses, your outside counsel or potential counsel, even if you're not working with them, and kind of like former colleagues, just to sort of have a sense of what's going on. Because I think sort of the way forward has been less clear than it's been at, any point in my shorter career. And I would expect that, each of you would probably, stay the same. So maybe Nicholas, could hit a quick note on how maybe some of your clients are adjusting their business strategies from a legal perspective to, ensure compliance, whether specifically on the hiring trends and folks going remote and overseas, or just kind of, other things you're seeing from where you sit.
Sure. Well, we all know that the pandemic has created, an unprecedented shift in how organizations do business. And, one of the most obvious being the developing trend of employers allowing employees to work remotely on a permanent basis, or at least under some type of a hybrid arrangement to accommodate employee relocation and to expand geographic hiring pools, right, as they consider the types of positions and teams that can be successful remotely. So from the lens of a tax professional, there are two interrelated tax compliance issues, among others, but these pop out as big issues that need to be on folks' radar. And one is state income tax nexus and apportionment rules, right? And the second is payroll. And these issues, of course, predate the pandemic. And while they may seem, mundane, companies will really need to consider this, really complex area of multi-state tax planning and compliance. For example, an employee moving from one state to another state may trigger payroll in that other state, while temporary rules that states into place to allow remote work without triggering nexus will likely be modified to reflect the reality of the semi-permanence, really, of remote work. And in similar vein, I'm sure we'll all see that states start to ramp up their enforcement to shore up the revenue losses that they sustained during the pandemic. So again, issues for organizations or in-house counsel and their compliance teams to really be on top of as we're seeing business strategies shift and the compliance tail and the tax planning tail follows along with it.
And that's a really interesting point you raise around Nexus in particular. Because we invest in software businesses where often your sales folks are in one place and your HQ is in another place. And I think with like New Yorkers moving to Los Angeles and people from SF going out to Tahoe and spending the year there, and like all these different stories we've seen, friends, family, and colleagues, taking some time to live in another place. I can only imagine that that has increased the complexity alongside that need for state governments to go and pursue like sales and use taxes, for example, or companies to really think about like maybe I should go look at a voluntary disclosure agreement if I know that that enforcement is coming. So I think a great reminder because probably some folks established some Nexus last year, probably more so this year as we enter the second year and hopefully soon the end of the pandemic. But really do appreciate the insights. And just to jump to another broader topic that I think has been probably crossing everyone's desk and on their minds lately would be ESG, environmental and social governance issues, and how they factor into long-term performance strategies. So I think I'll throw one to you, Alan. I have some of my own thoughts, but would love to hear from you first on this. And how would you advise other in-house legal teams to focus on long-term performance strategies without hurting short-term gains?
That's an excellent question. So, we've been fortunate that, we kind of aligned ourselves with the ESG movement. Our business model kind of fits in line with the whole ESG social responsibility movement. So we've been fortunate that we haven't really had to address this like other companies have, but be mindful that there's been a lot of companies out there that have been significantly hurt by not aligning themselves with the kind of tailwinds behind the social movements, and at the cost of losing short-term gains and long-term performance as well. So I would just be mindful of all of those factors when making long-term strategies, and whenever possible try to align your long-term strategies with the political tailwinds of the ESG policies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, probably, we talked earlier about just social justice movements. I think, probably climate change has been on, a lot of folks' minds lately with some of the, wildfires and flooding that's going on around the world. But I think ultimately, it's a, mindset that's here to stay, and, council need to adapt accordingly. And I think, from my perspective, some of the things we've tried to do, at K1 is to not necessarily dictate behavior to our portfolio companies, but model behavior, where we can. One example of that was, making election day a holiday last year. And I think something probably like 80% of our portfolio companies followed us on that, but that's something that we, intend to implement going forward. And maybe it is like one less day of productivity, but it's also, was that a full day of productivity anyways if folks were trying to vote, or they were concerned or anxious about not being able to, get to the ballot box? And I expect next year, similarly, we would implement Juneteenth as a holiday. We had the more late breaking federal announcement of that as a holiday, but just sort of to do those, things on a deliberate and incremental basis. And a couple other places where we've seen this come up is really, when we're going and looking at a company to actually build a questionnaire around ESG into that process, so you at least know what you're stepping into and know, where you would look to help out, once you, and if you actually, pursue that investment. And many times, like, I think it's important to say, we don't have all the answers, or we don't even know where to begin. So I think this is one area, specifically on diversity, equity, and inclusion, where we've gone and hired an outside consultant to, really go from first principles to tell us where we were deficient, where we maybe had a blind spot and could be better going forward. So I think sort of, mixing that modeling behavior with knowing when to look out for help, and knowing that maybe it's not quite the right time is, the art to it. But it is something that I think all of us on this call will, need to continue to work to get better at. And I think we just have a couple more questions here to wrap up the panel. But, kind of curious about, kind of one of the classic, I think, bailiwicks or areas of importance for in-house counsel is just, risk mitigation. Like how can in-house legal teams mitigate risk in the post-pandemic era? What are some legal risk companies are vulnerable to right now? For example, vaccination policy, mandatory return to the office, all of these other subjects that have arisen as a result of the pandemic. So, Alan, I know you've covered on a couple of these before. Maybe vaccination policy in particular would be one that would be interesting to hear about, because I think that is, an ongoing challenge. So maybe just understanding, how you or maybe some of your peers have tackled that, how you expect that to proceed, now that the rollout is fairly far along.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've done is we've implemented at least mandatory testing. So we have, for all of our employees that want to come into the office and work in the office, we have weekly testing that we've implemented. I've spoken to some of my colleagues, other general counsels at other companies. They've gone as far as to take the position that they will require mandatory vaccinations. I haven't quite gotten my head wrapped around that yet. The strategy that I've recommended is that you coach your employees to get vaccinated. You kind of lead them in the right direction, and hopefully you can get them there without more of a draconian requirement to be able to come to the office. But it's going to be interesting to see how the case law kind of comes down on employers that are requiring employees to get vaccinated as a condition of employment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and certainly probably some of those cases, complaints being drafted right now if we haven't seen them yet, and will be winding their ways through the courts in the coming years. And I think one, specific challenge that we at K1 have seen is just, we travel a lot. We have companies in different states. We go out and meet new prospects, or, you're just going out for a board meeting. So thinking about your vaccination policy in addition to your travel policy, in addition to your quarantine policy. And, we even have like a daily check-in, on a specific app on a day if we are going to be in the office, because it's sort of an organization where you have only one office. So if you do have an issue, or you do have a couple people who are testing positive, like it's getting shut down in full. So I think people are realizing, sort of the importance of being conscientious about this as they move forward. And, probably not too many people getting upset about, needing to wear masks again, but that's where it's going. I think everyone out in Los Angeles is seeing that going on. But yeah, something that, hopefully we can continue to, as in-house counsel, work in partnership, with our other GCs and our other team members to, help us all get through this. And, with that, it's just about time for our in-house counsel award ceremony. Wanted to thank Nicholas and Alan once again for joining in this important conversation. And now I'll hand it back to Anna Magzanian for the award ceremony portion of today's event. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jordan, Nicholas, and Alan, for that informative discussion and for your contributions to the business community. Now let's get into our award ceremony. We are going to begin by recognizing our in-house counsel honorees. We will present 8 awards in the following categories: education and nonprofit, small private company, mid-sized private company, large private company, small public company, mid-sized public company, large public company, and enterprise public company, which are employees over 50,000 or more. Identifying our winners was no easy task, as they are all extremely talented and accomplished individuals who provide unique guidance to their organizations. Our advisory committee took many things into consideration when looking at each of the finalists, including the length of a time an employee or an individual has been with the organization, their overall body of work throughout their career, what impact they've made to the organization and compared to their peer group, as well as their involvement within the industry groups and within the community as a whole. One final note before we get into our ceremony, I want to remind our finalists that if you are an honoree and award winner in your category, please be prepared to speak for about 45 seconds on camera. We'd love to hear from you. Recognizing the excellence in the education and nonprofit category, this year's finalists are Paul Belnick, Director of Startup Legal Garage and Assistant Professor of Practice at UC Hastings Law School. Teddy Lowe, Senior Deputy County Counsel at the Office of County Counsel at Los Angeles County. Rachel Nazowski, Deputy General Counsel, Health Affairs and Technology Law, University of Law, Office of the President. Lisbeth Paul, Deputy General Counsel of Cedars-Sinai Health Systems. Jessica Zitley, General Counsel, Casa Pacifica Centers for Children and Families. Please join me in congratulating the 2021 honoree for the Education and Nonprofit category, which is Paul Belnick of UC Hastings Law School. Paul serves his community by helping early stages startups and teaching UCLA and UC Hastings law students through the Startup Legal Garage programs. These experiential learning clinics provide corporate and patent legal work to promising startups that cannot afford legal counsel. The program's mission is to help entrepreneurs, especially women, minority, disadvantaged, and veteran founders, turn their ideas into growing, stable companies. Paul prides himself in helping startups that go into achieving incredible and meaningful successes. Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you very much. I'd like to accept this award on behalf of not only myself, but Professor Robin Feldman and Lori Lewis, the other members of the team. We work tirelessly to find excellent startups so we can help get off the ground, especially those from communities and from founders who otherwise wouldn't get a chance and maybe wouldn't get a chance to get advancement. At the same time, we love educating our law students by teaching them client service and legal skills. And so we're glad that we can able to put this all together, make sure the community has an excellent opportunity to move forward as a group. And so I'm very honored and grateful to be here. Thank you so much for this award. And thank you all for thinking of us we're pleased.
Now I'm thrilled to announce the private company of up to 250 employees. The finalists are Brian Atwater, General Counsel, Davis Reed Construction, David Chirnick, General Counsel, Chief Compliance Officer, Corporate Secretary, Cascade Financial Services, Alex Robertson, General Counsel, Natively, Alexandra Shapiro, General Counsel, Omaze, and Lynn Witcher, General Counsel of MD7. And the honoree for the small private category is Lynn Witcher, a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. She is recently selected as the host of AGL Media's new Diversity, Equity, Inclusion series, where she interviews diverse leaders across the wireless network infrastructure on topics such as making the industry more accessible to the next generation of young leaders, narrowing the digital divide, and ensuring fair and access to broadband. Congratulations, Lynn.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the LA Times for highlighting the accomplishments of so many wonderful leaders today and for this recognition. I'm grateful to my company, MD7, not only for including me in its amazing mission of providing life-changing connectivity to communities across the globe, but for supporting me in my passion of investing in the leaders of tomorrow through my work on the Women's Wireless Leadership Forum, California Wireless Association, the Asian Pacific American Women Lawyers Alliance, and the Japanese American Bar Association. I've been a longtime champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this year, I've had the distinct pleasure of being the host of a new series by AGL Media Group, where I interview leaders from across the mobile wireless network infrastructure space. I want to encourage all of the leaders out there to keep doing all of the great works that you're doing. You're inspiring me and so many people across the world. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lynn. It's such an honor to have you. Our next award is for the mid-sized private company category. That is for employees 251 to 1,000 employees. This year's finalists are Bernadette Shalala, Chief Legal Officer of Arbonne International, Santiago Fernandez, Executive Vice President, General Counsel of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Don Haigigi, General Counsel of PCB Mercor, and Craig Levine, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary of Wash Multifamily Laundry Systems, and Marissa Song, General Counsel of Corporate Secretary, Grail Incorporated. Please welcome this year's honoree for the mid-size private category is Don Haigigi from PCB Mercor. Don currently leads a small and diverse law department while working as the first General Counsel, Privacy and Compliance Officer for affiliated companies, PCB Mercor Real Estate Services in Los Angeles, High Tide Settlement Services in the Anaheim, and Vendor Resource Mortgage Services in Dallas. She has lent her incredible breadth of experience to many corporate boards, foundations, and professional organizations around the world as TED Talks veteran to boot. Congratulations, Dawn, and welcome.
And thank you, Anna. I'm thrilled to be here this afternoon for this celebration. It's a welcome distinction, particularly as we are emerging from the post-pandemic. I salute all of the finalists today, and particularly my co-nominees, Bernadette, Santiago, Craig, and Marissa. And Anna, I congratulate you on your vision in establishing this inaugural award and recognizing the unique contributions that in-house counsel make, and also for bringing together so many incredible in-house lawyers today, a fantastic discussion with Jordan, Alan, and Nicholas. And as we know, our sponsors are so important to our success as in-house counsel. Fantastic opportunity to meet Nicholas Sanchez through this process and to learn about his tax expertise. Our gold sponsor, Blank Rome, one of my go-to firms, and I know that Stacey Phillips and Linda Kornfeld are in the audience, so I welcome them. Latham & Watkins, and a special shout out to another one of my outside counsel, Gerald Bowers of Shepherd Mullen. And I accept this award not only as a recognition of my accomplishments, but a recognition of my responsibility to leave not only a legacy of the law, but my responsibility to use my successes to make a constructive and positive difference here in the Los Angeles community and the broader community. So thank you to the LA Times and your incredible team, Helia, Anna Marie, Anna, Karina, Alina. Thank you for such a great program.
Thank you, Dawn. My gosh, you're truly incredible, and we are so honored to have you as an honoree today. Thank you for all the recognition as well, and all the shout outs to our team. So humbled by that. Our next up, the award recognizing the work in the large private company category with over 1,000 employees. Congratulations to the following finalists. Yeme Andianju, Vice President, Senior Corporate Counsel, Providence St. Joseph's Hospital. Brian Cardoza, Senior Attorney, Southern California Edison Company. Sabina Chlorfine, Assistant General Counsel, Southern California Gas Company. Mark Goldzeig, Executive Director of the Associate General Counsel, Kia Motors America, and Amy Lerner Hill, Deputy General Counsel, City National Bank, and Michael Speaker, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, City National Bank. Big congratulations to this year's honoree, Brian A. Cardoza from Southern California Edison Company. Brian has litigated and tried numerous cases affecting SCE, including catastrophic personal injury, business loss and interruption, breach of contract, wrongful death, structure fire, wild wind fire matters. He is one of the handful of attorneys in the state who have tried to verdict a California wildfire case. He has expertise in subject areas unique to representing an electric utility and beyond. Truly, congratulations, Brian.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank first and foremost the LA Times Business to Business organization for considering my nomination. I am honored to be among the many outstanding finalists for this award and am humbled by this acknowledgement. This event is filled with outstanding attorney leaders who devote countless hours serving their profession and their community. And they truly have inspired me as I've come to know some of them and inspired me to improve my practice and to stay involved in the community. Lastly, I'd like to thank my employer, Southern California Edison Company. Southern California Edison Company is truly a company that serves the community, is devoted to family values, and has allowed me the opportunity to not only reach my dream of being a trial attorney, but has also given me the access to pro bono activities and community service activities that has helped me grow as a person and as I hopefully be a good representative of my company. So I'd like to thank again the LA Times staff, as well as all of the finalists in this category, and I applaud you and salute you. Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work. I mean, truly incredible. Your bio and reading all the accomplishments were just so humbling for all that you do. I am now pleased to recognize and move on to our public sector category. Our first award in the small public company is up to 300 employees. So these are public companies up to 300 employees. And our finalists this year are Gracie Chang, General Counsel and Senior Vice President of GoodRx. Coin Dang, Executive Vice President and General Counsel of First Choice Bank. Jeffrey Plumer, General Counsel of Evolus. Janet Savage, Senior Vice President of Business and Legal Affairs of Mar Vista Entertainment. And the honoree for the small public company is Jeffrey Plumer of Evolus. Jeffrey is an outstanding California licensed in-house counsel who is impacting change not only for Evolus, but for organizations around the globe. In all areas, Jeffrey acts with impeccable integrity and embodies Evolus' culture of transparency and impact. He has been instrumental in achieving key company milestones, including the Evolus IPO. Congratulations, Jeffrey, and welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the LA Times for this incredible recognition. As noted, I'm the general counsel of Evolus. We're a performance beauty company headquartered in beautiful Newport Beach with an FDA-approved botulinum toxin named Jeuveau that we launched in 2019. 2020 for Evolus, like for all companies out there, was filled with unique challenges. In addition to a COVID pandemic, which shut down many of the medical offices that use our product for months on end, we faced the specter of an existential bet the company IP litigation in front of the International Trade Commission that threatened to remove our product Jeuveau from the market. I like to think that we definitely threaded this needle by managing to get 3 separate parties with different cultures, different agendas, and different points of view to ultimately come to a settlement resolution. But at times it felt like we were really just jamming a square peg into a round hole. And while any litigation resolution naturally involves the in-house legal team, when you have an existential challenge, which I hope none of you do, it really shows that every corner of the company needs to come together in order to make it through. And what we found is our Evolus employees resiliently stuck with the company through a sudden shift to remote work, then a stream of often confusing news articles in both the US and the Korean press about our case. And through all of it, they not only persevered, but thrived and continued to live our Evolus culture. Overcoming a challenge like we did is only worth it if you have any optimism that the post-crisis future will be bright. And after seeing this resilient team, I know that our future is strong at Evolus. I also just wanted to thank our board of directors and our leadership team who were with me through every twist and turn of the past year. They not only provided the strategy and leadership for the company, but their continuous optimism in the ultimate outcome kept me motivated and focused even during the times of my own doubt. And finally, I have to dedicate the largest portion of my thanks to my wife, who put up with long nights on video conferences with Asia in the makeshift office next to our bedroom, multiple trips by me to Korea during the midst of a global pandemic, and a seeming never-ending barrage of my anxious thoughts spoken aloud. I want to thank the LA Times again for hosting this inaugural event. It's been a true privilege to be with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and congratulations to all of your success. We're honored to have you. Now, next up, we have our mid-sized public company from 300 to 3,000 employees, and the finalists are Alina Avakian, Senior Counsel of SNAP, Paul Bakota, Vice President, General Counsel of the Hydrofacial Company, Vivia Kim, General Counsel and Chief People Officer of Hamni Financial, Beverly C., Senior Corporate Counsel, Audible Incorporated, and Adam Wargeles, Executive Vice President and General Counsel of the Leaf Group. Let's welcome this year's honoree in the mid-sized public company, Alina Avakian from Snap Incorporated. Alina has negotiated and closed a number of important deals for Snap across Snapchat, Bitmoji, and Spectacles. Her subject matter expertise, negotiation strategy, and innovative and creative solutions to closing compelling and strategic deals have helped ensure long-term relationships to partners. She is a co-lead of Snap Women LA, Snap's employee resource group, which helps support and empower and advance women at Snap. Congratulations, Alina, and welcome.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I want to thank the LA Times, Miller Kaplan, and all the wonderful people who worked behind the scenes to put together this great program and award ceremony. Thank you also to Nicholas Sanchez and everyone on the award selection committee. I'd also like to thank Snap and my legal colleagues for working tirelessly during the last year in challenging circumstances to empower our users to express themselves, live in the moment, learn about the world, and have fun together. It's an honor to be here today among this elite group of finalists, and I'm grateful to be the recipient of this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. It's great to have you. Our next category recognizes the work in a large public company from 3,000 employees to 50,000 employees. The finalists are David Katz, General Counsel of RadNet, Donald Rosenberg, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary of Qualcomm Incorporated, Hadith Hassan, Senior Director and General Counsel of the Small Business Dun & Bradstreet, and Aileen Tyree, U.S. General Counsel of Unibail-Rodamco Westfield, URW. And the award for the large public company goes to Aileen Tyree from Unibail-Rodamco Westfield. Aileen is the U.S. General Counsel of URW. She advises the company on all aspects of the shopping center and airport operations, property acquisitions and dispositions, joint ventures, secured and unsecured financial transactions, and more. She is a member of URW's U.S. leadership team, helping to define the global strategy and vision and taking part in all key decisions. Congratulations, Aileen, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Anna. This is so exciting. Thank you to the Los Angeles Times for this wonderful award. It's really an honor to be recognized amongst such an accomplished group of lawyers. I'm grateful to be part of an organization like Westfield, which is a global developer and operator of flagship shopping centers across the US and in Europe. I want to thank my dedicated team, my colleagues, and my friends at Westfield. Without their hard work and creativity and commitment to create great places for our communities, I would not be here accepting this award. So I humbly accept not only for myself, but on behalf of Unibail-Rodamco Westfield. I also want to take a minute to acknowledge my family and my friends. Without their support, sacrifice, and patience, I would not be able to have a career that I love, where I have the privilege every day of making a positive impact. And last but not least, if I can give a quick shout out to my parents, who hopefully are listening. My family immigrated from Syria many years ago, and my parents had big dreams and hopes for me and my siblings. It's because of their love and sacrifice that I'm delivering this speech today. Thank you so much.
What a heartfelt thank you note. Oh gosh, that sounds incredible and close to my heart. Thank you, Aileen, for joining us today, and congratulations again on all your success. Now for our final category for the afternoon, enterprise public company, which is employees with over 50,000 plus. Congratulations to this year's finalists in this category: Jennifer Fisher, Senior Counsel of the Boeing Company; Archie Iscock, Corporate Counsel, Microsoft; Scott Lyon, Vice President and Senior Counsel of Wells Fargo; Lawrence Midler, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Chief Risk Officer of CBRE Incorporated; and Asal Safari, Legal Counsel, Western Digital. And this year's honoree in the category of Enterprise Public Company is Jennifer Fisher, Senior Counsel at the Boeing Company. Jennifer serves as Intellectual Property Counsel for the Boeing Company's military and space programs. She identifies herself as a rocket scientist confidant and an equity champion, both at Boeing and in the community. As a member of Boeing's intellectual property, she works closely with Boeing's talented engineers in both its defense, space, security, and global services business units to strategically license and protect the innovative IP that Boeing delivers to commercial and government customers, partners, and suppliers throughout the globe. What an honor, Jennifer. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. I am extremely honored and humbled to receive this award from LA Times B2B Publishing, even more so after having the opportunity to meet my fellow inspirational and accomplished fellow corporate counsel finalists. As in-house counsel in challenging times like these, times of change, times of growth, recovery, resilience, and pivoting, we play a critical role not only in our companies, but in the communities in which our companies work and serve. As Senior Intellectual Property Counsel for the Boeing Company, I have the privilege of supporting the awesomely innovative technologies that we develop that operate from the seabed to outer space. Before I joined Boeing, I had no idea how much it would impact me to work in support of products that support the safety of so many lives. Whether it's our servicemen and women in a foreign theater or ensuring that we have the correct technology licenses to power Air Force One, which will eventually carry our president, or supporting the GPS solutions that ensure that despite LA traffic, that I make it to Chavez Ravine in time for Clayton Kershaw's first pitch. It's all very cool work. I'm proud of it. I'm equally proud of the volunteer work I do in the community, in bar associations, in nonprofits, and I thank you for honoring me for it. And to my fellow finalists, I also belong to a cult known as the Cult of Peloton Riders. And if you're one, you'll be familiar with this saying, we can do hard things. We all can do hard things, and let's keep doing them. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jennifer. That's absolutely true. We can do hard things together. I love that. I am too a Peloton rider. I hope that you all are inspired, just as I've been, not only reading the nominees and honoring our finalists, but today, congratulations once again to all the 2021 finalists and award winners today. It has been a pleasure to celebrate you and the important role that you play in the California business community. I would like to give one more big thank you to our sponsors for making this event possible, starting with Miller Kaplan, Blank Rome, and Latham Watkins for their continued support for the legal community. And special thanks to my co-host this afternoon, as well as all the panelists that have partaken in it, Nicholas, Allen, and the team, and Jordan, of course, moderating a wonderful panel. Please remember to check out our Business Law magazine, in which all the finalists and honorees will be featured, and will be published on August 29th and available on the LA Times B2B publishing page. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have the great rest of your day.